Welcome folks to Visual Disturbance channel. I'm your host Brian Reese. Today we're going to be talking about pre-flood civilization and alien in nature. On Visual Disturbance channel we would say alien, aka fallen angels. But today we're going to do a new program. We're just going to be talking about megalithic sites. And we'll start doing a bunch of these in the future, so keep that in mind for future videos. So pre-flood civilization, alien in nature, aka fallen angels. Check out everything in the bottom left-hand corner, my PO Box. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitter X, Facebook, got a Rumble, and a coffee. Go check out my coffee website. Help support the channel. And then also check out my new series, Cities Lost in Time, on FOJC Underground Church, me and Brother David Carrico. But let's just get into this program, folks. I'm going to give my take on this, my perspective. Pre-flood civilization, alien in nature, aka fallen angels. Comment below, folks. Let me know what you think. Let's get into it.
There are many astonishing ancient ruins which can be found throughout India. Ancient temples or caverns, often carved into giant boulders or directly out of the bedrock of Earth itself. Many of these ruins drenched in exquisite artwork, carvings created with such vision and accuracy that they boggle the minds of all who attempt to explain the methodology of their creator. We have covered a number of sites within India in the past, many of them so precise in their finish that they could have seemingly only been created using precision stone-cutting technology. And our next site of interest is of no exception. Located in the northern part of the state of Karnataka in South India, the village of Hampi has some extremely captivating ruins. Dotted with large boulders, the site is also home to some extremely puzzling relics. We'll
stop right there, folks, for just a second. First thing I think about when I see these megalithic structures and these ancient cities and all these rock shelters and all these structures in India, first thing I think about, folks, is 3D printing. Here in today's modern time in 2023, we can't even process how large something would have to be from an aerial view to print these things out. Especially when we have 3D printers that can do 3D modeling, creation, creating of things that you put into the computer software. But just think about this, folks. They have 3D printers for homes, but they can't be intricately cut out like this, and the complexity of this is beyond phenomenal. It's a marvel in its own. For it to be a pre-flood civilization or a alien in nature, aka fallen angel, some type of technology that we lost. Let's continue on.
Which is the ancient chariot, clearly a depiction of a once astonishing creation. The cart itself was not only clearly massive, but was pulled with elephants rather than horses. Clearly indicative of a highly capable group, this incredible chariot is one amongst an array of marvelously preserved architectural artifacts, most of which display a level of refinement created with such precision that modern man could only replicate such feats using machines, something modern academia claims has only ever been utilized by our own modern civilization. Thus, an explanation as to how the site, or indeed its smorgasbord of ancient precision-made stoneworks were made, eludes us to this day. And we hypothesize that the reason for this is due to mainstream historians' reluctance to consider what these ruins clearly indicate, that they were once the work of a civilization that was not only highly advanced, but utilized stone-cutting technologies, methods of transportation, lifting and placement that rival even that of today's architectural capabilities. How can one...
Real quick, folks, the first thing I think of is the Vinama, the Orphanas, the Ephas, talked about in biblical narrative, and all kinds of ancient Mesopotamia, Samaritan, all kinds of different cultures that talk about these flying crafts, the Vinama that would come down. Transportation of importing, exporting goods. It's the first thing I'm thinking about when I'm listening to this video with you guys. So let's continue on.
Appear upon such sites as that of Hampi, or indeed others, Pumapunku, Giza, Petra, etc. Sites created with such accuracy that to suggest they were created with soft metal tools or with the use of primitive measuring equipment is simply absurd. Furthermore, none of these ruins would be possible simply with the use of the human eye. The only logical explanation is that just like that of modern-day stonework, the stones were indeed machined, cut to such a high quality using precision tools, only then were they placed where they lay today. Hampi was predictably re-inhabited by ancestors based within permitted timelines, once being the capital of a previous Indian empire. What's intriguing about the site, however, is the mysterious, seemingly untouched boulders which dot its grounds. The question is, although they now appear to be geological, were they in fact once relics themselves, left by an even earlier civilization? If not, then why were these stones left where they are found today? Why were they built around rather than utilized, carved, or shifted? They were clearly once of significance, and due to the fact ancient sanctuaries and fortresses are often re-inhabited, the possibility that they were indeed once carvings would logically make sense. The questions would be, just how old is this civilization? Who built the ancient site of Hampi? How did they build it? Were ancient high technologies utilized in its creation? If not, then how was it constructed? It is a place which we find highly compelling.
First thing I think, folks, is modern day man, or even if we go back to Egyptian times, we did not just pull this with horse and buggy to pull off this endeavor. We did not try to break down as many horses and men to be able to even pull off the insanity as far as the weight of the size of these boulders and rocks and granite. There's just no possible way that could be pulled off even into today's modern time. And then also to comment on the with the chariot. The chariot would, first thing I thought of with the chariot would be a replication, maybe a model. Maybe they seen something coming from the sky. Maybe they was worshiping their gods in some shape or form, and they had to come up with the concept to the fiery chariots that's coming out of the sky of heaven, and they was trying to build a model. Or it could be something more beyond that. It could be the technological advancements, and archaeologists to this day are baffled for some shape or reason. But you can go back and look into the Atlantean, and it's all there, folks. It is all there. You can't make this stuff up.
A few months ago, we did a video regarding an enigmatic mountain, which rests within modern-day Tibet. We touched upon the amazing legends, speaking of the mountain actually being that of an ancient man-made pyramid, which, according to such legends, is placed at the center of the universe. They spoke of a mysterious giant eye placed upon the top of the mountain, an eye which, according to said legends, will reveal itself when the ice and snow within the area melts away. Akin to a story containing the Eye of Mordor, yet hopefully not as malevolent. Although Mount Kailash can be found within modern-day Tibet, its location is very close to the borders of India, a place which few know possesses one of, if not the most amazing ancient structure to have ever been discovered or indeed built upon our planet. A structure which dwarfs the Great Pyramids, and indeed the Great Sphinx with artistic wonder. Actually known as the Kailash Temple, it is an exquisitely cut series of supposed praying temples and other communal buildings, which was, many thousands of years ago, carved straight out of an enormous horseshoe-shaped rock resting within a hillside. According to mainstream academia, Kailash Temple was somehow built by a primitive people using primitive tools.
Well, real quick, I have to stop the video at that point just for a few seconds here. Isn't it interesting, folks, that they say primitive? I don't know about you guys or anybody out here watching this program. I'm thinking about it today, even with our advanced drills, cutting materials, and all these different things, and the way we chisel things out now, there's no way we can come up with this complexity, even with the artistic standpoint or anything. There's no way we can pull all this. There's no way. Even if I had a fleet of people that was master, on any kind of artwork, any kind of carving into any kind of structure, wood carver, anything like that, stone carving, there's no way to pull off this endeavor. Unbelievable. And guess what, folks? It would take a millennium. There'd be no way that they could keep training the same person to do the same rendering of the artistic. But if somebody passed away, they had to, work 60, 70, 80 years on one wall to make this type of artwork, and then they continuate the teachings to someone else. I don't think so, folks. I think something more bizarre is going on here.
During a duration of 400 years, from 200 BC to 600 BC. However, no one seems to be able to explain how such a primitive culture could have possibly created something so awe-inspiring, something so artistically accurate and wonderful, something we would indeed struggle to recreate today. A structure not only architecturally accurate, but also drenched in a masterpiece of sculpture. Largely accepted as a flawless piece of art, no less than 200,000 tons of stone was masterfully carved away, creating several separate temples, each drenched in tiny artistic detail. Rediscovered in 1819, is it possible that the Hindu decorations found within were merely later additions to a relic left actually built by a civilization far more advanced and far more ancient than we are allowed to publicly believe? It is understandable for one to wonder, how did a primitive civilization create such a wonder with primitive tools, attaining such a perfection, such refined finish to each tiny detail? It is conveniently unexplained just how they managed to cut into this single block of rock with such precision and indeed vision, adorning the structure with thousands of animals. It seems as if it were.
There's a lot of lions here. So I go down a big rabbit hole with that, folks, with the Sri Lanka connection with the lion-like men of Moab, biblical narrative, all that good stuff. It's just words can't describe. Let's continue on.
A tribute, a gift, depicting what can be found on our planet. Is Mount Kailash, as legends say, really the center of the universe? Is this mind-bogglingly detailed,
This Kailash temple, it's an endeavor, folks. It's a marvel, but I would not say it's the center of the universe. Certain things in this video I would not say that I agree with. But it's for the sake of we're going to perceive together what we're looking at, and then we're going to come down to it and get our perspective. So here we are.
Intricately built ancient temple by a long way, actually a tribute to this fact? Made up of temples which are all now perceived to be shared between three faiths, Buddhist, Hindu, and Jain. Are these multiple faiths further evidence of a re-inhabitation rather than a construction? The 200,000 tons of rock, for example, is nowhere to be found. And, as previously covered in the Kailash video, the same is seen with the apparent enormous excavation found around
the Kailash temple here. It's interesting. They're talking about the rocks and everything that was so-called built to pull off this amazing features that it has, and especially the way it's printed and cut out and all that good stuff. I don't know how they did it. So, but then real quick, I have looked at Indian mounds in my local area. Same thing. Very strong stone structures, but the stone structures, the rocks do not originate from the area. They had to be brought in. So riddle that one, folks. It's the same thing here going on in India. Continue on.
Around the base of Mount Kailash itself. Compelling evidence for manipulation of the landscape, giving credence to the legends of it being, in fact, an enormous pyramid. Regardless of this, the fact that the temple carries the same name as this mysterious and still unclimbed mountain within Tibet, we find highly compelling.
The 16th century Kailasa temple, located within India, used to be the royal chapel of
like I mentioned earlier, folks, our Sri Lanka on the map here. Just can't make this stuff up, folks. There has to be some type of alien, aka fallen angels, manipulations to pull this off and to teach humans, or however they pulled this off. It's a lot here, folks. Let's continue on.
Travancore's former rulers. It shot to fame 5 years ago when one of its 6 vaults, later coded as A, was opened, unearthing tons of gold coins, jewelry, and diamonds worth hundreds of millions of dollars. An expert panel, inventorying assets at Kerala's famous Sri Padmanabhaswamy temple, has approached the Supreme Court for permission to open an as yet untouched vault. A vault containing unimaginable fortunes. A face-off between the judiciary and religious authorities. The temple, situated in the heart of India, is billed as the country's richest and is one of several Hindu shrines that hold enormous amounts of gold and precious gems. The wealth was accumulated by way of holy offering from devotees over many years. The temple contains 6 chambers buried deep under its sanctum sanctorum. 2 of them are open during daily rituals and 2 more every 6 months. The remaining 2, A and B, are secret vaults. Sources close to the temple said antique coins found in the chambers alone weighed more than 600 kilograms. Around 200,000 items were documented, 600 of which were embedded with precious gems. One single locket alone was believed to contain 997 gems. Besides jewels, precious stones, necklaces, golden crowns, and pots were also included in the list of inventory, sources said. According to the India Times, an audit conducted into the assets shows that a massive amount of gold has mysteriously disappeared. Up to 769 gold pots and silver bars have been reported missing.
Just to make my comment here on this, anybody, when you're watching this video, just comment below, let me know what your thoughts is. But the same thing happened to a lot of different things in the Afghanistan narrative. I've done a pretty good, it was about a year ago, about all these ancient artifacts that was missing, like 2,200 artifacts that was missing from the Afghanistan area, and just so many bizarro things going on with that. Same concept. Here's a lot of gold, a lot of jewelry. Somebody did a amazing job to be able to just compile that up into one area and put it in a tomb, basically. So somebody went through a lot of trouble to pull this off. So there must be something significant about it all. I don't know. Just a thought.
Suggesting that there are hidden tunnels beneath the chamber, which allowed the architects to lock the chamber doors from within, making it impossible to breach. This secret tunnel seems to have led to many years of plundering the treasure trove without anyone noticing. However, what has not been publicly acknowledged by the Indian court is the existence of the hidden inner chamber beyond Vault B. Reported as having thick walls made from solid gold, and it is where the real treasure is said to be located. Dwarfing what has been recovered so far, it could quite possibly contain the largest undiscovered treasure in the history of the world. Not only is the temple covered in gold, it seems it is also stuffed full of the stuff also. An expert panel from the Center for Earth Science Studies has also quashed rumors that the B Vault has an underground tunnel connected to the Arabian Sea. The team led by Dr. Ajay Verma detected small cavities and drains around cellars that they found insignificant. Chamber B is not part of the temple's official treasury. The holy chamber houses idols of gods and many other valuables meant to enhance the potency of the principal deity. Also found was a pure golden throne adorned with hundreds of diamonds and fully precious stones.
So I'm going to stop right there. One thing that comes to mind is the tunnel systems all over the lovely earth that we live in, or live on. And tunnel systems like this, inundated with a bunch of gold. What's going on here, folks? There's some kind of Stargate. It's just me throwing out some random ideas. Just adds to the conversation. So, is there some type of interdimensional portal? Something like that, folks. Whatever. What do you guys think? Comment below. And what in the world's going on with this throne with all this gold? Could you imagine? Wow.
Stones, meant for the seating of a past giant that has been estimated around 18 feet in height. In addition, many other large, sometimes giant, and very old solid gold crowns were found, all studded with diamonds and other precious stones. The valuables are believed to have been accumulated in the temple's vaults over several thousand years, having been
So, folks, what we got here, we've got this little giants in the earth in those days. We got Genesis 6, verse 4, but that's what's going on up in here. So, there's my Kentucky slang there, up in her. So, a lot of weird stuff going on here with this gold, this throne. What do you guys think? Did you see the crown on that? Did you see the crown based off of just an average sized man, and the crown the size of what kind of skull would that crown had to be to sit on top of that? It'll baffle the mind, folks. It'll baffle the mind. But yeah, it's one of my topics. One of my favorite topics is giants. But hey, it's them Sethite boys, right? It's them Sethite boys. The Sethite theory. It's the Sethite people. But the Bible says there's giants in the earth in those days, and it has 36 tribes of giants in the Old Testament. What about that? What about old King Og? Just throwing it out there, folks. And what's going on here? Continue on.
donated to the gods by various dynasties and kings. We will keep you posted on what they find in Vault B.
There are countless ancient sites found all over the planet that are not only far older than current academically claimed, by individuals funded to come up with specifically permitted dates for their creation, selling one's integrity in favor of financial.
Just want to throw us out here real quick. Talking about Stonehenge, right? A rendering of Stonehenge monument, right? If you really look at this diagram here and this rendering, what's the first thing I think of? I think of Star Trek, the Enterprise. You know, it literally looks like that, folks. I mean, visual disturbance. You might have a visual disturbance after this, but yeah, check this out. It looks like the Enterprise off Star Trek. Hit that like button, folks. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks for being part of the visual disturbance community. Star Trek. Star Trek. Let's continue on. Stonehenge. But it looks like Star Trek diagram. Who come up with that concept? Hello. Let's continue on.
Securities and an authoritative position within society, offered to them in return for their obedient deceits. Like a mule guided by a carrot, these individuals not only fear losing such reputations and handsome incomes, if one were to tell the truthful story regarding said sites, but they unquestionably turn a blind eye to the many areas that I cover, which are often not only implausible to state were the work of the particular permitted re-inhabitants, placed much closer to us within history, but to suggest that such ancestors were capable of said feats is simply a preposterous claim. They often knowingly and deliberately overlook such features, due to their lack of any plausible explanation for such accomplishments.
Do you see how big? Look at that camel over there, and look at these little men walking around here. Look at the size of these camels, and look at the size of this rock. Just look at that. Would you look at that? Would you just look at it? There's no way. There's no way. Speaking of giants in the earth, if you had a 20-footer, it might be like a little Lego block to him, possibly. You know, maybe a 40-footer. Let's go a little higher. I digress. Let's just continue on with the video here.
As such, with many ancient sites simply ignored or are disguised as closed-book cases, with a dull, deliberately disinteresting tale of origin. These academics have some of the most intimate access to these ruins, yet deny the world's population a true account of said relics. For to suggest that a civilization less advanced than us accomplished the placement of megaliths far into the thousands of tons precisely atop one another, with awe-inspiring stonework details, and polygonal brickwork seemingly created like a puzzle of unique pieces, among many other baffling features.
So the Temple of the Three Windows, right? So we got a little Machu Picchu in Peru. No joke, folks. The new Transformer movie, I think it's the Beast. What is it? The Rise of the Beast or whatever it is. I forgot the correct term on that film, but the new one that just came out, they go to Machu Picchu and they hone in on these three windows. The perspective, the visuals, they hone in and into it, and all of a sudden the Transformers are like transitioning in, and all of a sudden they go right over top of Machu Picchu. But they zoom in and hone in on these three windows. It makes the brain hurt. Just makes the brain hurt. It'll give you a visual disturbance. Let's continue on.
Feel is a proof of a deliberate agenda-driven conspiracy concealing said site's true origins. These unexplainable anomalies, the main reason why said individuals perceive me as a threat, not only to their funding, but also their positions of trusted authority within modern society. For the truths I tell, due to the inexplicable nature of their existence and their lack of exposure within academic studies, expose the field as a funded organized group of deceivers. These features are simply impossible for them to explain, yet they continue to claim that they were built by people who were undeniably incapable of such feats. This is why many unexplainable artifacts simply vanish, and why many ancient sites are not only brushed under the proverbial carpet, but said features overlooked, ignored, and not mentioned at all. And our next relic is no exception. Many people have heard of the Great Wall of China, one of the only ancient ruins which is so large it can be seen from space. A very famous wall. Yet an even greater number of people are unaware of another Great Wall which can be found within India.
Real quick, folks, before we get into the Great Wall of India, there's the Great Wall of China, which the video just shown. My first take on that, the Great Wall of China, the Great Wall of India also, too. First take on this, they built this endeavor because, well, let's just say, out here somewhere, there's an adversary, there's an enemy, something creeping up. They have to have a fortification because there's something nefarious, something evil coming out here. That's my take. From what I read around the local community in Kentucky, they did smaller scales of this in my neck of the woods. But when they had the materials and the minerals and all these different things to pull off this technological advancement, even to shield themselves from an enemy that was coming in on them. That's just my perspective. Let's continue on with the Great Wall of India.
Successfully overlooked by modern historians and antiquarians alike, this wall, known as the Kumpalgarh, has been claimed to be merely a recently created ruin. Yet I feel, just like the many other ancient ruins found around the globe, is far older than currently claimed. It is of an astonishing size, and a number of alternative so-called fringe researchers, which academics like to derogatorily call them, have found substantial evidence that not only is the upper layers far older than claimed, but the entire wall sits upon a foundation immensely older than the wall we see today. A foundation that many have concluded is so old that it had simply turned to dust through the eons, rebuilt at a currently unknown time within antiquity. The wall stretches an astonishing 22 miles, and once protected hundreds of extremely ancient dwellings, and measured at over 40 feet thick. To suggest that such a feat could have been accomplished by our more recent ancestors, who the founders of mainstream academia permits, is a tough posit to agree with. For if such claim were true, why is the wall seemingly ignored by modern history? I feel the reason the wall has been successfully kept largely unknown is due to the fact that if openly studied and widely known of, more people would research such site, eventually realizing, like many before them, that the wall is far older than currently claimed, and possesses such enormous amounts of stone, along with an immensely older foundation, that current claims of its origins and age are simply incorrect, and a clear attempt to shrug off this astonishing structure as a reasonably modern creation, which they hope will not be looked at closely. An attempt to close the book on a possible antediluvian ruin, which many people as a result told with a dull deceptive history for its existence, which not only stifles one's interest regarding the wall's origin, but deters the curious from ever investigating the wall's truly astonishing nature. A motivation which I feel is the main driving force behind its lack of public exposure. Who rebuilt the Great Wall of India? How old is its far older, highly eroded foundation? The Great Wall of India was an astonishing feat of ancient engineering, a feat that academia would prefer stay largely unknown, a reality which I find highly compelling.
It is compelling, folks, and I will just give you my last comment on this video. Star forts. Star forts have been around for a lot longer than what the academia world is speaking about, and I think they just throw a, basically a new emblem or a new logo on it and say, hey, we founded this particular site, and we deem it established on a certain particular time. And just like the video here talking about Machu Picchu and all these other amazing places, the Great Wall of India, the Great Wall of China, they build on top of them. The foundations, there's something that was once before. And even if the structures and stuff have outlasted all these cataclysms, these tornadic winds and different types of flooding and whatnot, these endeavors for these things to be pulled off. We can't even build a structure today, folks, without it falling down within 60 years. With the wind blows, the roof comes off, right? But these things outlast centuries and thousands and thousands and thousands upon thousands of years. And they look like a 3D printer come by from an literally aerial footage. An aerial phenomenon comes by and cuts out granite or something out of the wall of a, absolutely of a mountain, and says, hey, check this out. We're going to cut this out, and this is going to be with precision. That's where the whole thing comes in, folks, and here's what I'm going to leave you all with. Was it pre-antediluvian, pre-flood civilization? Was it alien, aka fallen angels, that pulled off this endeavor? Or, third option, I'm going to throw it out here at the end of the video here, was it something else? Was it human/alien/fallen angels? Was it the sons of God? Was it the sons of God's children from the offspring of the daughters of men in Genesis 6 verse 4? And they pulled off some kind of amazing, marvelous structure with technological advancements that we have no concept of in our reality. But anyways, folks, this is going to be a series. I'm going to keep putting these videos up and doing, give my take, give my perspective on these videos, and archaeologist and archaeology endeavors and finds and whatnot. And I hope y'all enjoyed it, folks. Y'all know what to do. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank y'all for attending. And hit all the links in the description, folks. And we would really appreciate it if you come and join us for the Visual Disturbance community. Thanks for stopping by on the Visual Disturbance channel. I am out.
Thank you.